So I'm going to use this. But let me just really appreciate all of you. So can you please clap for yourselves? The chairman of the Association of Women in Media, the CEO, ED, the members of the Association of Women in Media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my dear friends Pinky and Micah, and all distinguished members of this amazing body. So I'm really honored to be here with you today. I just joked about being jobless and trying to fill up my my time. Well, that's not entirely true, but I'm truly delighted to be with you here today. I love being among women and a few gentlemen because it's always a learning process. Yeah, we have so much to share, and all our experiences are so amazingly different, but all of them are so special, and all of them need to be shared. Right? And I think nobody does the sharing of experiences as well as women do. Right? We are quite honest about our feelings. We're also honest about the way that we depict these feelings. We're honest about our downfalls, and when we have, very small, hiccups here and there. But we're honest about them. We talk about them. We share them. We cry together. We laugh together. We embrace each other. We kiss each other, right? And when we're not unashamedly, we do that. We're not apologetic about it at all. And I think that's really amazing. Women are truly special. But today I am addressing a distinguished group of media professionals, not just ladies, but media professionals. And as we gather here, the landscape, the media landscape is changing, and it's changing drastically, it's changing very fast. And that's why it's so important to continuously take stock, continuously reflect on what it is that we want to do next. Yeah? I'm becoming an expert at that. I always think ahead of the curve. And I think it's because I'm a woman, I'm a mother, I'm a nurturer, that I continuously think, what's going to happen next? If this happens, what is my plan B? And then what's plan C? And how should I get there? And where do I place my plan Bs and Cs so that they're just ready for the picking when I'm ready to move on? And so there's no space and there's no time that is lost between one career, if you like, and the next one. One phase of one career and the next phase of that same career. And I think it's really important that we reflect on what defines us as individuals, because at the end of the day, it's about the individual, right? It's about you, the person, and what defines you. For me, I've always been defined by certain parameters. It was about what I thought about leadership. What is leadership for me? What I thought about integrity. What values I actually espoused, what values I admired. And yes, in a short discussion we had before, I said that we know what the straight and narrow is, but sometimes everybody falters. We're not perfect, right? We make mistakes. And I think the biggest lesson for all of us is how do you pick up and move on? Yeah? And so it doesn't matter whether the straight path is one full of integrity, values, certain principles, ethics, right? But at the time that we, for different reasons, right? And I don't think anybody lives in a glass house, so nobody should throw stones. Right? And for certain reasons, you fall off, because we are all human beings and we make mistakes, and we accept that we make mistakes. We also accept that we learn from those mistakes. So what happens when you actually fall off, that space? And I think that that's what we all should be really soul-searching about, because we all do it. Nobody, as I said, is perfect. Nobody stays on the straight and narrow all the time. And so I think it's always useful to just reflect on, for me, what is leadership? Is it about the position that I hold? Is it about the title that I have? Is it about how I relate to others? And, is leadership about humility at the end of the day? Right? To be humble enough to actually listen. To be humble enough to smell the coffee. And to understand that nobody has a monopoly of knowledge. And that you need each other, and everybody needs the next one. And everybody has something to put on the table to contribute. So I put up a few notes, and I'm going to go through them. And I'm hoping that when I finish, I'll share some lessons that I learned myself at different stages, of my life. And so I hold that leadership is not just about positions of power or authority. It's actually about inspiring and motivating others to achieve a common goal, to achieve a common objective. And as journalists, because you are really, really special, you are the biggest influencers that our country actually has. You also define the narrative, the national narrative for our country. And I think it's no secret that when you go out and say, oh, by the way, who do you trust more? Yeah, you've had that question asked. And you know what the answer is. I'm not going to repeat that. You have the power to influence public opinion in a very, very, very powerful way and in a very direct way. They listen to you every single day. You are in their homes, you're in their living rooms, in their bedrooms, in their kitchens, you are on their verandas, right? And on their streets. Nobody else has that power. Nobody. It doesn't matter what position they hold in life, nobody has that power. You are the singularly most powerful compatriots that I have today. And I think that if that is clearly understood, then people will respect the position that you hold, they will listen a little more, and obviously, I mean, with that power comes a lot of responsibility. A lot of responsibility. That responsibility to be objective, the responsibility to be honest, the responsibility to tell it as it is, and the responsibility to lead by example, and to say, no, I will not take that path because it's the wrong path, and I'm going to talk about it in public and tell people that this should not be happening and this should not be the road that we are taking, not as individuals, not as communities, not as a country. And so you need to hold yourselves, first of all, and I think, they say that when you point one finger, 3 fingers point back at you. Yeah. So when you expect others to take up responsibility, at you are 3 fingers pointed back because of what I said. You are the most powerful citizens that we have in the country today. And so you obviously have much more responsibility than I do as one single leader, or as 20, leaders, or 30, a certain number of leaders. You have more responsibility than we all have to make sure that you hold yourselves to the highest standards of professionalism and integrity. And so that is leadership. What's integrity? I think integrity is actually your foundation, the foundation of your work as journalists. It's the cornerstone of trust. And trust is what allows you to be effective in your roles as reporters, as editors, as media professionals. Without integrity, you actually lose credibility. If journalism has no integrity, it has absolutely no credibility as well. It also loses that ability that it must have to hold those in power accountable. And so, no integrity, your credibility highly compromised. Yeah? And I think if you remember that, then that's what will always bring you back to the straight and narrow. So I think it's important that we always are mindful of the importance of maintaining that credibility and always working to uphold it in all aspects of your work. Repetition, clearly very, very important. And I think that you know that more than anybody else, because you repeat news 10 times a day sometimes. because you want to make sure that it actually sinks, right? And so it's important that you remind yourself about integrity, about holding yourself the highest standards. And that brings me to values. So for me, values are actually what guide decision making. If you have no values, then your ability to make decisions is highly compromised as well. And it should include a commitment to truth, to accuracy, and to impartiality. Right? Very difficult. We are all very partial people. Right? So it takes work, it takes time, and it takes passion. Look, I've been told that the next best alternative to work is journalism. I think you've heard that before, right? Because journalism is actually a passion as well. So it's much more than work. It's about setting your society straight as well. So huge responsibility, ladies and gentlemen, really, really huge. And so you have to have the values. You always have to strive to be objective in what you say. Avoid any biases that would compromise your integrity and that would compromise the credibility of the work that you're doing. And I think the last one is ethics. And these are principles that govern your conduct. And they govern your conduct as journalists, they govern your conduct as mothers, as sisters, as citizens of a wonderful, great country. And so you must always be aware of the standards, the ethical standards that you set for yourselves, that guide the work that you do. And please be diligent in upholding those standards. Just be diligent about them. And if you're stubborn enough, everybody will come along. If you're stubborn about your position, if you're stubborn about what you're doing, you know, people start wondering, why is Patience so stubborn about this? Why is she insisting on this? Let me go and do some work on it. Let me just find out if actually what she's saying is the right thing. You send everybody back to the drawing board. And really that's what a good journalist does. By questioning the things that people do, you send them back to the drawing board. You've sent us many times back to the drawing board as government when I was in government. Because you said something and I would say, but they wouldn't say that if there was no truth in it. It doesn't matter how much truth there is in it. Whether it's 5%, 10%, 50%, we are going to look at this in a very direct way and deal with this. Right? And you know what? As I looked at the ethics and the need to avoid conflicts of interest, the need to actually respect the privacy of your sources, you know that's really important, right? It doesn't matter what anybody does to you. People have been killed because they are protecting the privacy of their sources, right? And so don't ever, it doesn't matter what happens. At the end of the day, you'll go free. Because people realize that they can talk to you without you, right, revealing who they are. So they'll come to you and tell you the truth. They'll come and give you documents that will help you do your work. But if they know that you're going to squeal, if they know that they cannot trust you, that they can't have that confidence to give you information, they will not give you any information. They won't. Yeah? So that's really, for me, that's really important. And I think that you must ensure that your reporting is fair. It doesn't have to be biased. Just be fair. And say, look, I mean, you're my friend, but what you did here, lazima tuseme. We must talk about it. And it must be balanced, even if it's not accurate. It really has to be balanced. Because you also don't want to turn away a segment of the population. You don't want to turn away certain communities. You don't want to turn away certain people. So you need to be really fair and balanced. So in conclusion, the written speech, you actually have a very critical role to play. And for me, it's about the future of our country. What are you doing to make sure that that future is safeguarded? That that future continues to hold our country in very high esteem. Yeah? And